There's a calculation that almost no one does before buying a car. Most people look at the price in the showroom, compare installments, negotiate the down payment, and leave the dealership thinking they got a good deal. But what will really weigh on your wallet isn't on any sticker displayed on the windshield. It's hidden in the following years, accumulating silently month after month, until someone stops and does the math. And then the shock is inevitable. When you add up insurance, fuel, preventative maintenance, and unexpected repairs, the real cost of owning a car over 10 years can exceed $30,000. This doesn't even take into account unusual situations like an accident, a discontinued part, or a repair requiring specialized equipment. For those living on a fixed income, a retirement pension, a salary that doesn't grow at the same rate as inflation, this number is not just impressive, it represents choices that should never need to be made. And the choices are tough. There are months when the car needs servicing, but the health insurance bill is due that same week. There are situations where the repair isn't urgent enough to go today, but urgent enough to keep you up at night. Fuel prices go up, insurance premiums increase, and the feeling that the car is consuming more fuel than it's transporting starts to hit hard. It's no exaggeration to say that, for many families, the second largest monthly expense after housing is precisely keeping a vehicle running. What makes this situation even more frustrating is that it rarely appears clearly in the financial simulations done at the time of purchase. The salesperson shows the installment amount, maybe mentions the cost of mandatory insurance, and that's it. Nobody sits on the other side of the table and says, "Look, in 6 years, you'll probably spend between $400 and $800 on repairs that don't even exist as a possibility in your mind today." This conversation doesn't happen because, let's face it, it's not in the interest of the person selling. When someone walks into a modern car dealership, the first thing that catches their eye isn't the engine, it's the interior. Seats that adjust in 12 different directions, a central screen shining like a state-of-the-art television, ambient lighting that changes color according to mood, climate control that allows the driver and passenger to set completely different temperatures. It all seems like comfort. It seems like technology working in favor of the driver. It even seems like the car is taking care of the person, and not the other way around. The problem is that each of these features is made up of parts, and parts break. A modern electric seat can have up to 6 different motors. One to move it forward and backward, one to recline, one to adjust the height, one for lumbar support, and others for the side supports and headrest. While the car is under warranty, everything works and nobody thinks about it. But when the warranty expires, usually between the 3rd and 5th year, these motors begin to show wear, and then the bill comes due. Replacing a seat motor out of warranty costs between $280 and $520 per seat, depending on the model and dealership. It's not a fortune on its own, but it's the kind of expense that appears when no one is expecting it and rarely comes alone. Because during the same period that the seat begins to fail, the climate control system is also aging. The actuators, small motorized parts that control the airflow within the dashboard, begin to make clicking noises, jam, and respond with a delay. Repairing this system can cost another $300 or $400, and the wait for the part can last weeks. The central screen, which seemed to be the technological heart of the car, doesn't escape unscathed either. Large screens, common in many modern vehicles, consume a lot of electrical power, overheat over time, and when they fail, replacement costs exceed $1,000 in many models. It's not uncommon for the diagnostic process to take days, for the part to take a long time to arrive, and for the car to be out of service while all this is resolved. For those who depend on their vehicle to go to the doctor, shop, or simply maintain their routine, these days without a car are not just inconvenient. They affect their sense of control over their own lives. When Tesla announced that the Model 2 would be a less feature-rich car, the immediate reaction from many was disappointment. After all, we're talking about a company known for giant screens, cutting-edge technology, and interiors that look like they came straight out of a science fiction movie. A simpler car sounded, to many, like a step backward, as if the brand were delivering less for the same money, or as if the Model 2 were a second-rate version within its own family of vehicles. But this interpretation completely ignores the logic behind the decision. What Tesla did was identify, based on real repair data and owner complaints, which components fail most frequently after the warranty expires. Then, instead of continuing to put these components in the car and leaving the problem for the owner to solve later, the company chose to remove or simplify them from the design stage. The Model 2 seats, for example, should have manual adjustment or only 1 or 2 motors for basic movement. This eliminates 4, 5, or even 6 points of failure per seat, points that, in other models, become certain expenses over the years. The central screen also follows this logic. Instead of a 15-inch screen with a complex interface and high power consumption, the Model 2 should feature a smaller, more straightforward display that is easier to navigate and significantly cheaper to replace when necessary. And this replacement will eventually be necessary. Every screen has a lifespan. The difference is that, in the Model 2, the cost of this replacement should be half of what it would be in larger models. Over 10 years, this difference accumulates quite significantly. The climate control system follows the same path. Instead of allowing the driver and passenger to set individual temperatures, which requires multiple actuators, sensors, and separate control modules, the Model 2 will operate with a single temperature for the entire vehicle interior. Fewer actuators, fewer complex ducts, fewer electronic modules communicating with each other. This doesn't mean the air conditioning will malfunction. It means it will work more directly, with fewer parts to age and fewer points where something can silently go wrong. Putting real numbers into a purchase decision completely changes how people perceive what they're buying. And when you do the math with the Model 2, the results are hard to ignore. Based on real repair data collected from owners of modern compact cars over 7 to 10 years of use, it's estimated that the simplified interior of the Model 2 generates savings of between $1,400 and $2,600 in maintenance costs alone. That's not the kind of number you see in advertisements, but it's exactly the kind of number that makes a difference in the budget of someone living on a fixed income. But this economy doesn't stop at the internal components. One of the biggest fears of those who have owned a combustion engine car for many years is the moment when the transmission starts showing signs of trouble. This repair, when it happens, and it usually does between the 8th and 9th year of use, costs between $3,500 and $5,000, depending on the model and the severity of the wear. The Model 2, being electric, simply doesn't have a transmission. This component doesn't exist in the vehicle, which means that this cost also doesn't exist in the owner's life. The same applies to the alternator, the part responsible for generating electrical energy in combustion engine cars, and which, when it fails, leaves the vehicle completely unusable. It also applies to the exhaust system, which includes the catalytic converter, muffler, and pipes that corrode over time and require replacement. It applies to the fuel pump, the spark plugs, and the cooling system with its hoses and thermostats. All these parts exist in conventional cars, all of them age, and all of them generate bills that arrive without warning or at any time. There's another factor that rarely comes up in conversations about the cost of ownership, but which has a direct impact on your wallet: battery health. Every time the climate control system or the central screen consumes excessive energy, the battery works harder than it needs to. Over time, this additional strain compromises the battery's charging capacity, reducing range and, more importantly, the resale value of the vehicle. In the used electric car market, battery health is the main factor determining how much the car will be worth, or whether anyone will want to buy it. A simpler system that consumes less energy daily preserves the battery for longer and protects its value silently and consistently. There's a type of problem that no repair shop can easily solve, and it's becoming increasingly common As modern cars become more connected and technology-dependent, it's not a broken part, it's not a leak, it's not an identifiable noise, it's not something the mechanic can see or touch. It's a communication failure between systems, and this type of failure is becoming one of the main sources of stress for owners of modern compact vehicles, especially those that are more than 5 years old. Modern cars function like a network of moving computers. Every function, the seat movement, the air temperature, the speed displayed on the dashboard, the application of the brakes, is controlled by electronic modules that communicate with each other in real time. When everything is working well, this architecture is invisible. The driver presses a button, the car responds, and no one thinks about what happened in between. But when one of these modules loses communication with the others, the vehicle's behavior changes in ways that can be confusing and even frightening for the driver. The seat stops moving. The air conditioning starts blowing at the wrong temperature. A warning light appears on the dashboard without any clear explanation. The owner takes the car to the garage, the technician connects the diagnostic scanner, and that's when the real problem begins. The equipment points to an error code, but this code could indicate a mechanical failure, a sensor problem, a software malfunction, or simply interrupted communication between two modules that, individually, are working perfectly. Separating one thing from another requires time, specialized knowledge, and often money spent on diagnostics that don't reach a definitive conclusion. This uncertainty has a cost that doesn't appear on any bill, but it's absolutely real. It's the emotional cost of not understanding what's happening with something expensive and something you depend on every day. It's the feeling of being at the mercy of a system too complex to be understood, fixed, or even clearly explained. For an older person who grew up in a time when cars were mechanical and problems were visible, this technological opacity can be especially exhausting and can create a relationship of distrust with the vehicle itself that goes far beyond the repair itself. There's a value that never appears in ownership cost tables, is never mentioned in model comparisons, and never enters into the cost-benefit calculations that experts make in magazines and specialized channels. This value has no list price, cannot be negotiated at the dealership, and doesn't appear in any line of the financing contract. It's called independence. And for a person in their 60s, 70s, or 80s, it may be the most precious asset there is. When a car becomes unpredictable, when the owner starts waking up in the morning not knowing if the vehicle will work properly that day, something changes in the way that person organizes their life. Outings begin to be planned more cautiously. Doctor's appointments become dependent on the availability of a family member to offer a ride. Grocery shopping, which was once done calmly and independently, begins to require unnecessary logistics. And little by little, without anyone clearly realizing when it happened, the person stops controlling their own life and becomes dependent on the rhythm and availability of others. This process rarely happens all at once. It sets in slowly, repair by repair, day without a car by day without a car, ride request by ride request. The car is in the shop for 3 days because of a faulty electronic module, and during that time the person needs to ask their child to take them to the pharmacy. The child helps, of course, but that simple trip to the pharmacy, which used to take 15 minutes without depending on anyone, now involves scheduling, availability, and inevitably, a silent feeling that something has been lost. This isn't drama. It's the reality for those who have experienced it or who know someone who has. A reliable car, one that starts every morning without surprises, that doesn't accumulate unexpected repairs, and that doesn't spend weeks in the shop waiting for parts, is a car that gives that control back to the person. They go to their appointment on the scheduled day without having to rearrange anyone's agenda. They go to the market when they want, not when someone can take them. They visit their grandchildren because they decided to visit, not because someone had free time to pick them up. These details seem small when viewed from the outside, but for those who live them, they are the difference between a life with autonomy and a life that begins to shrink. This is where the Model 2 ceases to be merely an economical option and becomes a quality-of-life proposition. A vehicle designed to break down less, cost less to maintain, and be easier to understand is, in practice, a vehicle that gives the owner back the ability to make their own decisions without depending on repairs that never arrive, parts that take weeks to arrive, or technicians who can't explain what's wrong. And this promise, when fulfilled, is worth more than any luxury feature a premium interior could offer. The Model 2 isn't a car for everyone, and the vehicle's very purpose makes that clear without needing explanation. There's a very specific type of person for whom this car makes perfect sense, and there's another equally specific type for whom it simply won't suit. Understanding this difference before making any decision is what separates a smart purchase from one that will lead to regret in the years to come. For those living on a fixed income, retirement, pension, or any type of income that doesn't grow unpredictably, the Model 2 represents exactly the kind of predictability that this stage of life demands. There won't be a transmission to replace in the 8th year. There won't be an alternator failing on a cold morning. There won't be a series of electronic repairs arriving one after the other without warning. The proposition is simple: a vehicle that fits the budget not only on the day of purchase, but also in the 5th, 7th, and 10th years of use, when most cars begin to show the price of all the complexity they carry. For those planning to keep the car for 10 years or more, the logic is even stronger. This isn't a vehicle for those who change cars every 3 years looking for something new. It's for those who want to make a single good choice and not have to think about it again for a decade. It's for those who value the stability of knowing that the car will be working tomorrow, next week, and in 5 years, without having to set aside a monthly amount just to cover unforeseen expenses that, with other models, are practically certain. On the other hand, the Model 2 isn't the right choice for those with medical needs requiring seats with multiple electric adjustments. Serious spinal problems, mobility limitations, or conditions that make seat positioning a health issue are factors that need to be carefully evaluated before any decision. Similarly, those who genuinely value premium comfort as part of the daily driving experience, the sophisticated materials, the large screen, the zoned climate control, will find in the Model 2 an interior that wasn't designed to impress, and this honesty needs to be taken seriously. There is no universal right answer. There is the right answer for each situation. Ultimately, what the Model 2 represents, in its essence, is a shift in perspective on what a car should be. Instead of a desirable object designed to impress in the showroom, it proposes to be a reliable tool designed to work in real life, in the years when the owner will truly need it, when health demands more attention, when the budget has no room for surprises, and when the independence of going and coming alone is worth more than any technological feature that an illuminated dashboard could offer. This is the Model 2's bet for the second half of 2026, and it goes far beyond a cheaper electric car.